At the post-game press conference, Sophie Cunningham confirms what we've all known all along, that we have our own islands. But we've kind of wavered a little bit. She uses the phrase different islands going on in this locker room, literally, saying there's a little thing going on in the locker room that's not good to hear just yet. Every Caitlin Clark fan should be concerned about. Sophie Cunningham's recent revelations regarding the Indiana Fever locker room. The particular concern is her statement that we've kind of wavered a bit on, that we have our own eye, and it's been a disaster. The good teams can keep the locker room together, but there is no chemistry, and it's a disaster protection and a team that is collapsing from the inside out. Caitlin Clark is not only fighting opponents, but she is fighting alone. She is the WNBA star player and the most popular woman in the league's history. If you still think Caitlin Clark is deserving, please leave a 100% positive comment right now, because after listening to Sophie's remarks, this team is in crisis. Fans of the Indiana Fever, the WNBA's Rookie of the Year, speculated for weeks that something was wrong with the team. But Sophie Cunningham has now confirmed that the locker room is broken and the team is focused on their star, Caitlin Clark, who is the needle and has been boxed off. At Caitlin Clark's post-game press conference, Sophie didn't mince words when she said, "We have our own islands in the locker room." Sophie Cunningham's post-game interview spoke about this team and the islands, and that statement hit like a bombshell. "I believe that we've kind of wavered a little bit on that point. The team was built around a generational rookie like Caitlin Clark. So it was about disjointed teammates, a lack of unity, and no one stepping up to lead. That's a red flag in front of every fan. Take care of our locker room. You did a _ job at that." Sophie acknowledged that the team has faltered, and they aren't relying on one another. Translation: in addition to being physically defeated in games, Caitlin is not being emotionally supported either. In fact, Caitlin Clark plasters over all the team's flaws, as if this team is poorly organized and the people who are meant to support her can't even agree. Last year, this team had chemistry even during Evan when they were losing games. The locker room remained close, giving the impression that everything was going well. However, Sophie claims that this season is different because there is no Erica, Wheeler, Christy Sides, or Chaperone, and the energy is shattered. The vibes are good, but they don't seem to be right now. As several creators have noted, that the biggest issue with the Fever isn't just bad play, it's bad culture. One creator put it best when they said that last year, they never mentioned this, because they always protected the locker room. It was never mentioned that there were problems with the locker room, because there's a big difference between a locker room that's not very close and there aren't any problems, and the whole point of the Fever last year was to protect the locker room. Protect the locker, protect the locker. Now, Sophie is acting inappropriately, and this isn't a rookie speaking out of turn. Rather, it's a veteran. Sophie took responsibility and stated that she needs to group people more effectively. But that doesn't address what has already been revealed. Cunningham stating clearly that there is a significant difference between her assertion that there are problems with the locker room and her assertion that it may not be the best place for Caitlin Clark to be because she is in a locker room that isn't designed to support her emotionally, mentally, or physically. And that team chemistry is either a problem or not a problem, but isn't a strength off Theffler like that is a problem? And that failure is being played out on the court in real time. To be honest, it doesn't appear that they will be able to fix it. In games where Caitlin takes hits, you don't see her teammates rush to defend her at crucial moments. And they collapse in the fourth quarter, as Sophie even called it out herself. They scored 35 points against us in one game. They scored 35 points in the quarter. And I believe you guys stated that a team cannot succeed without discipline, focus, or trust. This isn't about a few games being lost. Rather, it's about a culture collapsing. The Indiana Fever are currently in a terrible situation, and when your best player is left to play alone, you don't just have a team problem, you have a crisis. It's not minor, But then again, I'm almost ready to end the season. Sophie Cunningham's warning about various islands in the Fever locker room wasn't unexpected. Rather, it was the consequence of months of turmoil, poor hiring decisions, and a front office that seems totally cut off from its franchise star. Caitlin Clark. Begins with Dana Bonner and Natasha Howard. To be clear, Dana Bonner wasn't just another player whose goal was to bring these ancient dinosaurs to this roster. In the offseason, the Fever offered her a maximum contract, a signing that baffles fans and analysts to this day. Bonner arrived with experience, to be sure, but also with baggage, and in spite of her resume, the results were immediate conflict. Her presence in the locker room soon became a source of tension, and some insiders believe her departure was motivated more by maintaining the team's remaining unity than by performance. One podcast host even remarked, "You've got to wonder, did the WNBA world was shocked when Dana Bonner was abruptly released?" But now it makes sense that she might have been a wedge in the locker room Caitlin was attempting to keep together. Then, there's Natasha Howard, who is still a mystery, and the Fever decided they had to get her out of that locker room to prevent the team from splitting even more. Her lack of urgency, questionable effort, and off-court behavior have been heavily criticized by fans and creators. In one recent game, Tasha Howard showed more concern for an opponent than for her own teammates, deciding that she would rather rub up on Ezi Magnabor's leg even after. Caitlin Clark was knocked down. When Caitlin Clark was knocked to the ground, when Aaliyah Boston was punched, when Lexi Hull was beaten, when Sophie Cunningham was beaten, Natasha looked away with no emotion, no protection, and no concern for anyone on the opposing team. One commentator on social media put it bluntly, "Congratulations to Aga Nation for bringing that to light. The players on other teams receive more attention and concern than when Caitlin is punched, Aaliyah is hit, or Sophie is slammed. This is strange and embarrassing, but despite her poor performance, Howard keeps getting big minutes, while players who genuinely care, like Sophie Cunningham, are benched. Even worse, fans think that their allegiance to Howard is linked directly to Stephanie White, the head coach who had previously coached her in Connecticut. It's not about merit, it's about politics. This is where the harm is evident. By keeping indifferent veterans and excluding players who undermine their own chemistry, the locker room has descended into chaos, and one creator even plotted them out into actual islands. On the one hand, there are Caitlin, Lexi, Hull, and Sophie. On the other, there are Natasha, Coulson, and Turner. Coulson is on Class Clown Allen, and she's the Joker. She has Stephanie White and Aaliyah Boston performing some dumbass TikTok dances. On the other hand, there are Dantas and Aaliyah caught in the middle of the Mayor's Island. I just want to play Ball Island, but I'm not sure who to side with. The hard and the rock. Place Island rock and the hard place Island are aware of what it takes to succeed. But now they find themselves in the midst of an odd locker room race war. There are even rumors of a locker room race war called the Social Justice Warrior Island. Yes, that's right, I'm on an island by myself, reading my activism and protest books, while the players feel trapped between team loyalty and social agendas. One analyst even went so far as to say, they want to play for Caitlin, but something's pulling them back, and it's not basketball. Such internal conflict not only makes headlines, but it also ruins seasons. Remember the Fever team from last year? They were tight, they lost games, but they had heart. Chemistry is no longer there. And without Christy Sides and Erica Wheeler, who helped hold the team together the previous season, the Fever lack any veterans who can hold the locker room accountable. Instead, they signed celebrities and social media stars, which caused them to collapse in double digits. What caused Caitlin to be bullied on the court? A locker room leader like Sophie pleading for harmony on live television, and the most tragic aspect is that Caitlin Clark was meant to make everything better. The Fever had a great chance to surround her with young players who were fast and shooters. But instead, they surrounded her with drama queens and elderly veterans who didn't fit her style. There are a lot of different islands going on in this locker room, and Sophie Steve wavered. But what she's really saying is that we let the wrong people in because we didn't protect Caitlin. And now we're paying the price. Unless something changes drastically, this locker room crisis could become a total collapse. Not just for the Fever season, but also for the trust that Caitlin Clark once had in this franchise. They did a underscored job taking care of our locker room, which nobody likes. Nobody likes. Indeed, everyone in our locker room is the only kind of person we have to rely on, so we need to improve in that area. We need to maintain our discipline, focus, and consistency, and we need to rely on one another. I believe we've slackened a little bit on that. Kay, we have our own islands. But as one of the leaders on the Let Me put it bluntly, Caitlin Clark was brought to Indiana as a savior. But instead, she walked into a mess. A team without a clear plan, a locker room in disarray. Stephanie White actually trying to turn the Indiana Fever into last year's Connecticut Sun. And a front office that appears more concerned with safeguarding its own interests. Let's go back to April, when the Fever selected Caitlin Clark as their #1 overall pick. This was not only due to her skill, but also to the hope she brought. She was the most watched player in women's basketball history and the face of a new WNBA era. According to WNBA rumors, Caitlin Clark will be among the first stars, earning $1 million a year. With Caitlin Clark, you all know who the needle mover is, averaging 16 in 2024, 5 points and 4 assists per game. She pulled down 5 rebounds, shot 31 and 37% from the field. 8% from 3 now, if you consider her 2025 preseason. She played 21 minutes, averaging 14 in the 2 preseason games she participated, one of which was against the Brazilian national team. She shot Wushirar with Wu points, Liu assists, and Liu rebounds. This was the key to revitalizing a team and revolutionizing the league. 5% from the field and 50% from three-point range. This team is slow, small, and not aggressive outside of Caitlin Clark. Let's talk about that lack of protection, because it's not just a metaphor, it's a reality. This season, Caitlin Clark has taken hard foul elbows repeatedly. Instead, what did they give her? Broken system, a broken locker room, and teammates who frequently stand around when she's being knocked down. Blindsides. And her teammates do nothing as the fans erupt and the cameras pan in. No one approaches to defend her. No one gets in the referee's face, and no one draws a line in the sand. One creator noted that Natasha Howard showed more concern for an opposing player's ankle than she did when Caitlin Clark was on the ground in pain. That's all you need to know, that this goes beyond simply missed rotations or poor play. Coaching is about a culture that has failed to unite around the very player on whom it was meant to be based. That's nice. And she was shooting the underscore out of it. Of course, she was right, so she was shooting the underscore out of it. She is the league's face, and everyone agrees that she is a wonderful person who is very welcoming. And she's so friendly as a person that she can talk to anyone. We Midwesterners tend to welcome everyone with open arms. She was very kind to my family and, well, everyone in the suite when she came to Kansas City. We're huge fans of Kayla Clark. And let's talk about coaching, because Stephanie White was Caitlin. Was clearly denied the opportunity to do what she does best: run, push tempo, and light up defenses from anywhere on the court. Several analysts referred to it as puke ball, and one even claimed that she took the best defense. She gave the keys to a Ferrari and then asked it to drive like a tractor. After the Olympics, they gave it to the coach who led the league's worst offense. This is basketball malpractice, not just bad strategy, it's sabotage. We'll be stuck playing vomit basketball for years to come, and the WNBA's ratings will continue to drop. Caitlin's whole college identity revolved around pace, spacing, and creative freedom. But under White's system, she's frequently the few plays where she and Aaliyah Boston run pick and rolls are the only times the offense really works. And those are shut down as well. You can actually see the team succeed when they forego the coach's plan and follow their instincts. But that only occurs in certain situations. She is stuck at the top of the key while teammates throw up contested shots with 17 seconds remaining. On the shot clock, flashes because structure suffocates them repeatedly. And don't think fans haven't noticed the frustration. It's not just on YouTube. It's in the stands, online, and in post-game interviews where Caitlin Clark's face speaks louder than words. She is the franchise player, the MVP, the main attraction. And she wasn't Theon, who was running down the court exhausted, bruised, and disappointed but still professional, but increasingly alone. She was promised a team prepared to compete. But instead, she received a broken locker room, dubious veterans, a former coach, and a front office that was dozing off. Speaking of that, front office Amber Cox and Kelly Kroskoff are currently dealing with a lot of criticism for this mess. Amber Cox and Kelly Kroskoff are complete scammers who have defrauded the fan base. One irate creator compared them to Bart Simpson hiding in the bushes while Stephanie takes all the blame. But they created this mess, and the criticism is obvious they failed. While the Liberty and Aces were stacking young international stars, Indiana was giving max contracts to aging names for publicity. And they failed to bring in modern athletes who fit Caitlin's game. Build a team with speed, shooting, and defense, and worst of all, let social politics and vanity signings override. Wise basketball decisions. The Fever threw Caitlin into a fire while other teams were assembling rosters to complement their stars, hoping she would save them anyhow. The Caitlin Clark effect seems to be more insane than year one, and I love watching her score and everything about her. They went above and beyond to watch her play here, which is fantastic news for women's basketball in general. K-on Clark. Is this she signed my jersey, and I'm crying because it's the best day ever? Caitlin Clark is the needle mover. She's the franchise player, the MVP, and the main attraction. She wasn't the one running down the court, but the truth is that she's accomplished more than anyone could have imagined. She's led the league in assists, broken attendance records, reacted to media pressure like a pro, improved her game, remained composed in the face of controversy, and continues to compete even when her teammates fail to rise with her. She has carried this franchise on her back, but even the strongest backs can only bear so much before they give out. And if they don't start, they won't just lose games if they don't work with Caitlin, instead of expecting her to fix everything on her own. At that point, the damage won't just be a poor season. It will be the end of one of the most promising periods in WNBA history before it even had a chance to start. Caitlin Clark is a rising star in women's basketball who's attracting ginsane viewership. Figures, she's my role model and I truly admire her. Why do you like Caitlin? She's a great basketball player because she's a really cool person who wants to do it. She's also very charismatic. Sophie Cunningham didn't just make a soundbite. She revealed the truth about the Indiana Fever locker room not being united and their inability to protect Caitlin Clark on and off the court. What makes Caitlin unique is that even when the system is broken, the chemistry is gone and the hits keep coming. She keeps showing up, leading, competing, and inspiring. However, she can't do it alone. The front office needs to wake up. The coaching staff needs to adjust. And this team needs to decide if they are building a stronger bond. Off the court is no longer a rumor. It's a reality. If you still think Caitlin Clark deserves a team that defends her, fights for her, and plays for her, leave a 100% positive comment in the comment section and let the Fever, the fans, and the entire league know that she deserves better. It's dynasty or wasting a generational talent.